welcome to another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Your host, 80 out my man, G Witt.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, man. We still here, baby, even though we took the L today. Girl, just to think about it, it was a pretty good game in the second half. But as we talked about, man, weeks before, it's the little things that get you beat. But the battles of two unbeaten teams in the AFC, two of the best teams, if you want to say that. Three remaining unbeatens going into the day, and somebody had to lose, right? And unfortunately, the Titans came up just a little bit short.
Well,
27-24.
Okay. Luckily, the game was early, and I've been able to calm down a little bit. Start off with the positives, though. What you got to give the team credit for is the resiliency when you're down 27-7 in the second half to put together some drives, had a couple of big plays, 2 interceptions, 1 long touchdown, and, players stepping up, making plays. It's really, really a testimony to the team, understanding that they don't quit. They kept running the ball, which was good. They're not even down 27-7. They were down early enough where they knew they could still run the ball effectively, and it was going to help the offense. Overall, like I said, it was just a bad game for the Titans today. I mean, it was too steep a hill to climb against a solid defense like that. I mean, you're going to make some plays here and there, but you can't. It's hard to climb back from a 20-point deficit against a team like that. It's just hard to do.
Right, and like I said, both teams coming into the week undefeated. The Titans are the number 2 offense in the NFL, and the Steelers are the number 3 defense. So something had to give. And the slow start by the Titans is really what doomed them in. Pittsburgh controlled the first quarter with a drive that went over 8 minutes long and ate up the whole first quarter. Basically 9 minutes, and came in with a touchdown. And you knew it was going to be a long day when you saw that ability for them to go down the field so efficiently, and our defense couldn't get off. Had them in third in long situations a few times, and people open, people out of position, missed tackles. And I don't even know if we smell Big Ben's breath all day because we didn't get to him but a couple times. And so once again, no pressure by the defense, and then Jonathan Joseph, which we'll talk about that more later with him. But
don't. Let's take it one step at a time. Okay. Offensively, we didn't do a good job. But defensively is the biggest problem. And again, it's something that Dave acknowledged, and we've been saying since the Denver game. Matter of fact, when you really get down to it, man, this is the fruition of what we said after the Denver game. We said at that time that if they continued to play defense the way they were playing, that, the veteran quarterbacks of the league are going to eat them alive. And that's what you saw happen in the first quarter and in the second quarter and part of the third quarter. They finally adjusted, started making some plays, but you saw, and let's be honest about it too. There were a couple of things that just absolutely went the Steelers' way in the first half. There were 2 fumbles that we couldn't get our hands on, where we knocked the ball loose. Vic Beasley knocked the ball loose from Connor and Kevin Byard. Couldn't get there to get the ball. Connor got it back. Same thing happened on another drive where they knocked the ball. Jadeveon Clowney knocks the ball out of Claypool's hand, but the bounce went his way, came right back to him. Didn't matter. Wasn't anybody, one of us near him anyway. But when you go back and look at this team, and I'm just talking about the defense, and I had explained that I just can't stand bad defense. If offense is making good plays on you, you just give it to them. But, Smith on one short pass took the wrong angle. He played the space instead of playing the man. He went to where he thought he was going to go instead of playing the man's body. They threw the ball short. He still ran. I think it was Claypool ran and got the first down. There was another time where they just gave Ebron just free reign off the line of scrimmage and goes right to his spot. Nobody went with him. Nobody covered him. I mean, it was just right on. Kevin Byers said it best after and you could tell his frustration after the game, and they interviewed him post game. And he just, like I said, it's just lack of communication all the way around. Lack of communication on third and short, third and medium, third and long. and I mean, and it's obvious. But I think now, going back to your point, I think part of the problem, and this is just me, because I got to just go by what I see. I'm not a coach and I don't know. But obviously to me, part of the problem is you have somebody like Jonathan Joseph who is so scared that he's going to get beat deep that when he's lining up 7-8 yards off the line of scrimmage, as soon as the ball snaps, he goes into an immediate backpedal. So anything that's thrown short in front of him, somebody else has to make the tackle because he's not going to get there in time. By the time he gets there, the guy's turning around and running up the field. I still say, even though he made some plays and came back in, I still say Jadeveon Clowney is not showing me much at all. Whether it's run, and the thing that's disappointing to me is that he's supposed to be a good run stopper, but we're really not seeing that. Matter of fact, one of the things I pointed out to Jabbar, I was like, the defense looks better when Jadeveon Clowney isn't out there. It seems like everybody knows what they're supposed to do and they go ahead and do it. Vic Beasley, same thing. These free agent acquisitions are not paying the dividends that we need them to pay. And I think really Vrabel, Shane Bowen, they're going to have a hard look at the players who are on defense and really institute some changes, because what we were supposed to be getting from them, we're not getting. And I don't want to hear anything about Jadeveon Clowney talking about he's out of shape, this is the 7th week. You should have a pretty good idea about the defensive scheme and everything and know your job. And you see it time and time again, they run around him. So I'm just being real about it, man. I could be all wrong. I'll be the first one to admit I'm not a defensive coach in the NFL. They know more than I do. But I'm just going to say it like I said on Twitter. These guys, these free agents we got from the Houston Texans, they ain't doing the job. They're playing like they're playing for the Houston Texans.
Wait.
Because look at it. Look. And like I said, I'm not a defensive guy. I could be totally wrong, and I'll admit that. But you got to say, you're not getting your bang for the buck.
No, I don't disagree. It's okay for me to talk now?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You got me on my soapbox, man. What can I say?
Oh, man, we knew the defense was going to end up getting us beat. We knew, we've been saying it for weeks. At a time, and I agree with Dion. Sooner or later, it was going to bite us when we got against a team with an elite quarterback, which we played today. Communication issues, I just don't understand why they're still there. And here we are in week 7, and you still can't communicate. You can see it on the field. Players not sure about who they were covering when they were playing man. Guys not sure who's going back in the deep zones or in the mid zones. And it's frustrating to see that, because, like I said, week 7, you got all your coaches back. All your players are back basically except for Adore, which one man is not going to make that much difference. Not on this defense anyway. Now, they could say Jonathan Joseph is playing out of position because Adore is not there, but he's a cornerback, man. He's in the NFL for a reason. And they got to stop putting him out there. They got him on the fastest receiver that the Steelers got, and he is eating his lunch. All day long.
Well, look at it like this. What receiver isn't fast against Jonathan Joseph?
I know it. And they keep putting him out there on the island by himself.
And the thing that's getting me about him, in all honesty, is that as a longtime veteran in the NFL, he's not playing smart football, man.
He's not. He's not.
I mean, I agree with somebody texted me today and said we should have just kept Logan Ryan. And I agree with him. If we could have kept him for the same price we paid for Jonathan Joseph, absolutely, because at least you got somebody who knows how to play smart football.
He's smart.
Knows his deficiencies, but knows what to do. Right now, what we're seeing with Jonathan Joseph, really what we're seeing out of this whole defense is people look like you said, they look like they don't know what to do.
Right.
And that's driving me crazy. Right. I mean, like 7th week. It don't
Right,
make
week
sense, man.
7. That is exactly right. And and what's so funny is, and I think Rodney said it, is that the DBs are playing so far behind on reacting to the ball. Slow reacting to the football. But it's hard when you're lining up 8 to 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. It's easy. And so what happens this week? Of course, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback that knows that your DBs are playing 10 yards off. So what do they start doing? They start running slants and
Dinking and
run
dunking.
right back out, digging and
Yeah.
dunking, right, making a man miss and going to the end zone. And so, it's just, Vrabel, something's got to give. Something's
Well,
got to happen.
and you just hit up on another point too. It's bad enough you're playing 8 to 12 yards off the line of scrimmage, but you're not coming up making the tackle. I give Malcolm Butler his credit. He played a little bit better today.
He did.
He came up, especially in the second half. He came up really aggressive, making tackles. But and I thought Ty Smith did a good job. He missed a couple, but at least he was coming up being aggressive.
Right.
But Jonathan Joseph is not even showing up in the picture.
So
and bless his heart, Vaccaro was so mad he ended up getting a 15-yard penalty on him for a tackle out of bounds.
That was a frustration move.
I understood his frustration. I mean, I'm not complaining about the penalty because he was ticked off. Because he can't make plays because they're having to cover for everybody else being out of position. Right. At least you saw Jayon Brown pick it up, especially in the second half. He started picking it up. But I mean, what's going on with Rashad Evans, man?
That's the question. Rashad Evans is nowhere to be found.
That's our run stopper for linebacker, and he's not in there. You saw Harold Landry missing tackles today. And he normally is a pretty sure tackler.
Well, here's the problem I got.
Getting beat quite a bit. Yeah, so, Big Jeff played, and I thought Daquan Jones played good. I thought, Crawford was adequate. He was who he was. Mm-hmm. But defensively, man, it's just bad. And we're going to have to flip it to the offense sooner or later. But defensively, man, it was just, with the exception of the last, I'm going to say, the last 20 minutes of the game, defensively, it was not a good day at all.
Right, and it's the thing is the cornerbacks that they got them playing off the line of scrimmage too much. The linebackers aren't making any plays. You said Jayon Brown pieced it up in the second half, which he did, and I do have to give a little bit of credit to the coaching staff for the second half adjustments they made. It held Pittsburgh to 3 points. You like that, but where was that at the beginning of the game when they was dinking and dunking you and you didn't make any decisions to change your defense? Now, second half, they started pressing more, and you saw what that did, right? It made Ben hold the ball a little longer, put guys in better position to make plays, even to make better tackles. And you see the result. You hold them to 3 points, and you hold them under 100 yards pretty much for the second half. And so, it's really confusing, the defense. And here's the other thing that I don't understand. Why do they keep putting Harold Landry in coverage? That's not his strength. He is a pass rusher. They're dropping him in coverage, and that's not his game. It is not.
Well, see, and again, that goes back to the fact that what we said a few weeks ago too. You got guys doing things. You're not playing to their strengths. It's the same as them dropping Daquan Jones in coverage. Mm-hmm. You're not playing to their strengths. Use the players to their strengths. I mean, you have to. I mean, you got to understand a person like Harold Landry is not what you call great in space. He's okay. I mean, he'll be able to probably keep up with a running back maybe, but not a tight end or anybody like that. And he's not going to be good playing zone.
Right.
The zone coverage you're running, you're trying to pull a linebacker back to play. You're not fooling anybody with it. That's the thing that's getting me. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to fool the defense into the offense into making a crazy play because they think, Harold Landry is going to rush and his space is going to be open behind him. But the problem is you're not getting any pressure from anywhere else. So the quarterback's got time to actually make a play. Get back to playing fundamental defense. That's the key.
Right.
Get back to playing fundamental defense. It's not rocket science.
Right. And it all falls on coaching. It does. And I agree with you, Deion. Where was the press coverage all season long? Yeah, you press coverage, you have safeties over the top. That's what they do. They protect you from getting beat deep. Give your defensive line a chance.
Can't cover man on man. Give them some safety help.
Right.
But do something different.
Got to do something different.
The zone you're running is not working. It just does not work.
It hadn't worked yet.
You can say we're close. We're getting there, but you got to be honest about it. Right now, you put like this: Pittsburgh converted 72% of their third downs today.
13 of 18.
I mean, think about that. At one time, they were 100%. And then finally, close to the end of the first half, they missed one, and they ended up being 88%. Now you got to stop and think about something like that. That right there just doesn't make any sense. You letting people convert 88% of the third downs, and we're not talking about 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, or even 3rd and 5. We're talking 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14.
Right.
You gotta stop and look at that kind of stuff. And it ain't all on Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro and the
No, it starts up front. It starts up front.
Guys not making plays, man. They're not playing defense.
It starts
and
up
I
front.
don't know if they tried to change from what Dean Pease was doing, and then nobody's catching up to it yet, or even doing it, or they went soft and they thought Dean was too complicated. I don't know, but I do know one thing: if they keep playing like this, and with the quarterbacks we're getting ready to run up against, it's going to be a long second half of the season.
Yeah, and I had to agree with Dion again. Jefferson Simmons is the only defensive lineman that's getting any type of pressure whatsoever, pushing the pocket a little, but they're double teaming him, and you got nothing else coming off the edge. You got Harold Landry he's getting close, but he's not getting there. You know, Vic Beasley, he made a couple of plays a day. I was glad to see that. I mean, out of the whole game, and so, you know, it's a big issue. So let's back up a minute though and talk about some other things, because that's not the only issue on this football team today. They were outcoached and outplayed for the majority of this game in all three phases. Bo Brinkley couldn't even snap the ball good today. He had a bad day snapping the football.
I'm glad you brought that up, because if you go back and look at the game, the one thing you would notice, and I just couldn't figure out why he did this unless he was lined up wrong from the beginning. But on that punt where he ended up having to throw the ball, Brett Kern was lined up, and then all of a sudden he takes a step back. But it was a low snap regardless, but it was made even lower and harder to grab because he had taken a step back.
Right, and that wasn't his only low snap though. That's what I'm saying.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't. Yeah. He was long field goals and everything. But you also had, let's remember, you had guys, a 53-yard punt return.
That's right. That's exactly right.
We luckily got stopped. Amani Hooker was there to make the last tackle.
Right.
But I mean, you know, special teams have been, for the past few games, have actually been pretty good.
Yep.
So, but you what you saw today, in all honesty, and you said it better than anything. What you saw was that Pittsburgh was prepared. They came out aggressive. They came out saying, we're going to do this. And they actually just took control of the game. Like I said earlier at the beginning, give the Titans credit. They went into halftime midway through the third quarter. They finally decided we're going to play football.
We're going to press this stuff.
And we're going to start running Henry regardless. And the offensive line started firing up off on the ball. But for 2.5 quarters, this team was dead in the water. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were definitely dead in the water. They had no fire to them. They had, and that's on both sides of the ball. I know we've been dogging at the defense, but the offense had their issues too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Let's look at that side too, because the slow start to begin the game 3 and out, and the offensive line was like they were slow in mud, couldn't get off the ball and couldn't block and couldn't protect Tannehill on the first drive. And you like the fact though, even though coming down 14-0, came back and scored to cut to 14-7. And then, after that, they couldn't get nothing going. The offensive line, I didn't think they blocked that bad today. It's just that, so let's start with Tannehill. Tannehill made some questionable throws today. A couple times he threw in 3 white jersey area and wasn't nobody there. And so, everybody was misfiring today on the offensive side of the ball as well.
Well,
so, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I know about Tannehill, one of the things he was trying to do, but he was failing miserably at it, was get the ball out quick, because he's trying to negate that pass rush. Let's be real about it from the offensive line side of the ball. And we'll start there. First of all, your first play, Derrick Henry goes for 5 yards. He gets called back because of holding.
Right.
Then what do? You run the ball again. He gets 2 yards or 1 yard.
1 yard.
Something like that. 1 yard. and then after that, you couldn't do anything. Let's be honest about it. Both offensive tackles struggled, really blocking. You know, Sombrero had a hard time with Bud Dupree. The right tackle, TJ Watt, was abusing him, inside and outside moves. They give the credit to the offensive staff. They made adjustments. They started keeping running backs in. They started hitting them twice. Hit them first with a tight end, and then give the tackle enough time to recover, to get set, to ready to block him again. Derrick Henry misses a block on a linebacker that leads his quarterback to getting sacked. It was just all around not a good performance for this team. Again, you credit them for the last quarter and a half of the game for showing some moxie, getting up, moving the ball downfield, making plays. And that again started with the defense finally holding Pittsburgh to a 3-and-out and getting the ball back, and offense was able to move the ball. I was a little disappointed in Arthur Smith. I thought that one of the things he might do was go hurry up. But again, when you're not really moving the ball, it's hard to do that. Like you said, Tannehill was throwing into triple coverage a lot of times. They were covering the passing lanes. It was amazing watching Pittsburgh play zone as opposed to the Titans play zone. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh zone was a lot tighter. Guys knew what they were supposed to do. Guys were sitting there watching the quarterback. And the thing you saw in them was that they didn't wait for the quarterback to really throw the ball, but they reacted to his motion before he even got the ball out of his hands. So they were always there.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Deion. It was the Steelers defense. They got one of the best defenses in the NFL, and
absolutely.
So we managed to still come down to the end and come back and move the ball. And so they got a great defense, but it showed today that our offense can move the ball against anybody, in my opinion. And it was just a tough day. Too slow of a start, too late of a start, and too late of game adjustments by the team. And so Kanye says, how about they hit the goal line by Spillane? Spillane, he knows what it feels like, as Jabbar said, to hit a Mack truck. And so when you come up in there like that, he hit him. And so my problem with that is, why not have Blasingame in the game down there on the goal line for your running back to block the linebacker?
And I'm gonna say this, and Ryan Clark is going to talk about this all day tomorrow, by the way.
Well, he can't. I mean, he can't really say too much, though. He ran the ball good, I thought.
Yeah, but he's going to say that, he remember what he was saying this week, false bravery.
Yeah.
False bravery to me says that you don't run it again. You come out the game like, I don't want to play no more. Mm-hmm. Well, that wasn't false bravery today. Spillane made a good hit. He paid the price for it.
He paid the price.
Tossed him his shoulder. And
guess what? He came right back, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's right.
Derrick Henry stays in the game, comes right back at him, goes over the top. So, right. As far as false bravery, we know Ryan Clark was just blowing smoke. And probably, like somebody brought up on Facebook this week, Ryan Clark is remembering that Derrick Henry still timed him back in 2017. So, and went for a lot of yardage. So he's still trying to get somebody to make up for that one. But, really, on that play, Derrick Henry, and I knew it was going to happen because he's an upright runner. So it's easy to make those plays with somebody who runs straight up. If he lowers his shoulder and everything, you could tell, because let's put it like this. Spillane came out talking about, my shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
And he didn't even hit him with his shoulder. He hit him straight up.
Right.
But like Jabbar said, he ran into a Mack truck, and the Mack truck didn't move. He came with full speed. The Mack truck didn't move.
See, but my point is, if you got your tailback 8 yards deep,
I know what you're talking about.
Because guess what happens on the touchdown? Blasingame's in the game, and he lead blocks, and that's a touchdown. So again, questionable play call. You can say what you want on that, but Pittsburgh zone is good. They press out of their zone and they drop back in coverage and they bring edge pressure. And you got to give them credit, man. It's a tough defense. It's a tough defense to maneuver. And
they're not number 2 in the NFL for nothing.
They're not, and the Titans offense is not number 2 for nothing either, because you saw it as they came back toward the end again. You can't blame Gostkowski for the field. You can't. This game was started at the beginning. This loss happened at the beginning of the first quarter.
Absolutely.
and it's trickled over to the end.
Absolutely, but I do blame him for the miss. I'm sorry. I don't let them slide by with the miss because they put like this. They had him in a good position with his leg strength to make that field goal. The stat they showed though really blew my
5
mind.
or 10 inside 46 yards.
Under 5 or
50.
10 under 49
under
and
49
under.
yards. Yeah.
But 5 or 5
beyond 50. But so let's go back, because what led up to that long field goal was some bad play calling. So you got a screen pass that didn't work. You got a dump out to the flat to Derrick Henry that didn't work. And then you got a intentional grounding where I don't know if the receiver didn't run the right route because there was nobody on the right side of the field. Everybody went to the left side of the field.
No. That intentional grounding was exactly what it was.
No. I agree. I'm just saying there was not a receiver on the right side of the field.
What I'm saying is that's the way they ran the play. And Tannehill, he knew he had nobody. He knew that he had to get rid of the ball because the last thing you want to do in that position is take a sack.
Right.
Now, the thing to do would have been to throw it down in the flat on the ground or something to get it away from somebody, but he didn't have a chance to do that because the guy was in on him. So it was a bad play, and it destroyed all the momentum. I mean, before then, they were actually moving the ball. They had them off balance. They were going hurry up, so they couldn't sub out. They kept Derrick Henry in the game, so they had to honor the run. And I agree with you. I think they should have ran the ball myself. But, that's not what happened.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Gostkowski missed the field goal, blame it on him, but he wasn't set up to win that game. He was not, because of the offense got a little too cute there toward the end of the game. But anyway, all the way around, it's a team loss, all three phases, and there's a lot to work on this week. Communications is the biggest issue. The team continues to fight, right? You like to see that fight. You like to see that comeback. The O-line did better in the second half, only gave up 2 sacks. Derrick Henry had 75 yards and 20 carries. He probably could have had more if they'd have kept running just a little bit more. One thing you do like is there's playmakers all over this offense, and you can see it week in and week out. The bad, of course, out of position. So many times out of position, missed tackles, communication, and we continue to beat on the no pass rush drum so much. And then, of course, Jonathan Joseph. And so somebody asked how many snaps did he play in the second half. I'm not sure. I'm to the point to where you play Ty Smith, you play Chris Jackson, you play Christian Fulton, and let them take their lumps, let them take their beatings, and let them learn, and then put Jonathan Joseph somewhere else, because he's not a corner to play outside on the island. He's not.
No, he again, I go back to what I said earlier, and until maybe everybody shows it to me on film that I'm wrong, and I'm fine with that. You can show me I'm wrong, but these free agent acquisitions, the Jadeveon Clowney, the Jonathan Josephs, the Vic Beasley, we are not getting our bang from the buck out of them. And if they're not looking in the mirror saying, I'm causing this team problems, then that's going to be incumbent upon Vrabel and J-Rob to cut bait and run. You're going to have to cut bait and run. I know Jadeveon Clowney and Jonathan Joseph played for Vrabel when he was the DC in Houston. But they're not giving you what you need out of them. Jadeveon's going to make a splash play like once every 3 games. Mm-hmm. And everybody's going to talk about, look at the play he made. But overall in the game, he's not giving it to you. Jonathan Joseph, a veteran, supposed to be smart. He's playing so scared that he can't cover anybody. and I mean, he's not even in the picture to make the tackles. That's the thing that's driving me nuts. I mean, if you're going to put 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, when the ball is in the air, be there to make a tackle, but your feet are so stuck in the mud, you can't even be there to make the tackle and have no desire to tackle. That's the thing that's getting me. So I'm like, Christian Fulton, I think he got hurt today, so they got to look at him. He came out the game and didn't come back in, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. But Ty Smith. Hopefully we get a Dory back. But I say if we get a Dory back, just go ahead and send Jonathan Joseph packing
to the house
and try to find somebody else to come in and play to fill in the role for a nickelback or whatever, because he's not giving you anything.
Monty Hooker can play nickel. Crucial can play hooker.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody else is better.
Because last week I saw it where, you know, when Houston was driving the ball less and Vrabel was telling him to come up on his man, and he didn't even come up, he stayed back. Now, you know, we had another cornerback that did that once before, and J-Rob cut him.
Yeah.
They're like, we're tired of this. That may be what's needed in the secondary.
So just watch and see if Adoree comes back if that don't happen. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get cut. I agree with you, Deion. I hated the call on 3rd and 13 at the end. I hated that play, the shot down the field. I really did. I think they could have gotten a better position for a time field goal. I really hated that. Somebody asked, was that PI? It wasn't PI. It was just an overthrown ball.
No, it was overthrown ball, and it was out of bounds.
Yeah, and I agree with Jabbar. We got a dog as our number one receiver, man. A.J. Brown is a beast. You saw it again today. You saw the wheels that cat has at that size, man. I mean, they weren't even close to touching him on that crossing route where he took to the house.
Yeah, matter of fact, when he slowed down, it was like they still couldn't catch up to him.
Right, 153 yards receiving, man. You like Corey Davis coming today, making some plays. And I hear people. I saw people online talking about Corey Davis as a bust. He is not a bust. The play matter of fact, the ball that Adam Humphries caught off the tip, the ball was thrown too high. You can't blame it on Corey Davis. Davis is one of the better receivers in this league, and you'll see if he don't sign back, you'll see what happens when he goes to another football team.
Well, all you got to do is go back and look at that last drive in the last 2-minute drive where he was making those catches and getting out of bounds. I mean, come on now. People got to understand people don't understand what they're asking the wide receivers to do. And don't get me wrong, AJ makes a 70-yard touchdown run on a short pass. But what you got to realize on that play was that was the one time you caught the Steelers out of position, and he made a great catch too.
Yeah, they bit hard on the play action. The linebacker
sucked in hard. Play action, caught him out of position, and he took it to the house. So, you start looking at those things, man, and seeing what's going on, and you got to just, the skilled players on this team, you really can't be down on them at all.
No.
Even though Tannehill did not have a great game, you really can't be down on him. I mean, because he actually came back, fought, and actually played well. But but what you got to look at is that your bread and butter players is who you got to look at. You got to look at on the offensive side of the ball. You got to look at your right tackle, Kelly, and your left tackle, Sombrero. Against that defense, they had problems. Now, granted, I give Arthur Smith credit. I give the coaching staff credit on that side of the ball. They adjusted to try to slow it down to give them as much help as possible. The only problem with that was the fact that it kept people out of the mix as far as catches were concerned. You saw where, and this shows you how bad our defense was. They were throwing a lot of passes short and still getting first downs.
Yeah.
Whereas we were throwing passes short and getting tackled.
You would too if you had a 10-yard cushion.
Yeah.
Golly.
I mean, but when you look at those things, man, what I'm saying, reason why I'm saying that is because as soon as the ball is caught short, there's somebody there to make a tackle.
Yeah.
So somebody's missing something somewhere. I don't know if it's the linebackers. We're going to leave Jonathan Joseph out of the equation because the way he plays coverage, he's never going to be in on a tackle anyway.
Let me see if my mic on. Can you hear me? My mic on. It's the scheme. It's the scheme. It's the scheme. To your point, look at the Steelers defense. They play zone. And what did you say? As soon as we caught the ball, what? They tackle. Because their scheme, they got players in position. Our scheme, our guys know what. The one time that he threw the ball to James Conner, and there was nobody within 10 yards of him. Everybody was all back 15, 20 yards deep. That's easy. That's easy. I could throw that and complete it. And I'm not a quarterback.
Hey, look, I agree with you. I mean, it was just one of those. Let's just be honest about it. It's just one of them things, man, to where we know they got some major issues. And again, our problem now, as opposed to what it was 3 years ago, is the fact that this team has shown what it's capable of doing. But what we're finding out with our defense is that not having Dean Pease not
It's a
having a
big
true
deal.
defensive
It's
coordinator
a big deal.
is really hurting this team. Vrabel's not going to admit it, and I don't blame him. You're
He's
not
not.
supposed to because you made a decision. But the bottom line is, really, if you're talking about this team going deep into the playoffs, because now you put yourself in a position that, let's say you have a great rest of the season, Pittsburgh loses one, you end up tied, you got to go to their house. And you know it's hard to win in Heinz Field in the wintertime. So, that's the thing we got to look at with this team, man. Is Vrabel's got to take a hard look at himself, him and Shane Bowen. They can't just look at players not being there. Jonathan, they got to look at, is Jonathan Joseph right for this team?
And he's not the only problem, though.
No,
I
no,
mean, yeah,
he's not.
he
But
gave
he's
up a
the
lot
one
of
that
plays.
he's the one that's the most glaring.
Yeah, and because there's Eddie Great Man, thank you for your comments. He said it's not all the scheme. Jonathan Joseph too slow and he plays soft. Yeah, I agree. But where's the pass rush?
Yeah.
There's no pass rush from Clowney. There's no pass rush from Beasley. Heck, there's not even pass rush from Harold Landry for the most part. Where's your linebackers at? They're not making plays. Malcolm Butler, he played pretty good today, but where's he at? He's getting beat. So the zones are too soft. It's not just one man. The zones are too soft across the board, and you're only rushing 4 guys, and they can't even get to the quarterback.
No,
so that's what I mean when I'm saying it's a scheme. It's just you're not running anything exotic. You're running simple coverage, and I give them credit for the second half. They gave him some different looks and made him. I'm not gonna say they confused him, but they made him throw in the tight windows, and you saw what happened. They got 2 interceptions off of it.
They made him throw in the tight windows, and they made him hold the ball long.
Right, and so
and that's the thing about it, but. Again, what we're saying is the fact that no, you're not getting the pass rush that you want, simply because the people. I'll say it again, and I could be dead wrong. I could be, but I still believe that the defensive line plays a lot better when Clowney's not in there.
No, we'll see. I have to go back and look and see.
I'm just telling you, go back. And please tell me I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. But from what I've seen, when Clowney's not in there, the defensive line plays a whole lot better. I'm not sure what it is. And it could be the fact that you got a guy that's coming in that everybody's compensating for.
Yeah.
And that could be an issue. I mean, it's the same thing like with Vic Beasley. It could be you compensating for him, and you're trying to do things to make sure they get off, and they're not getting off. So the bottom line is, take them out the game. Let your defense play. I mean, maybe Clowney use them situationally, because when they had him, when he got hurt, limped off the field and everything, the defense played good. They used him situationally. He came in, he made a play.
Yeah.
You got to recognize the fact that he's a situational player.
Right.
He's not an every down player. He's not going to make the plays every down. He's just not going to do it. He's too undisciplined.
Let me get some of these questions, man. They coming in hot and heavy. So Will says, do we think the intentional grounding should have been offset due to a non-roughing the passer call?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he gets that call. A lot of calls I thought that didn't happen, didn't go our way, that we should have had. It was some holding, some questionable holding on the edge. And so, you can't, that's this one that you can't really disagree with on that.
But even with the questionable holding, you got to be willing to fight through that to make them make the call.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody was fighting through it.
Well, yeah, no doubt about that. Dion says, what's wrong with Durr anyway? They didn't say how he got hurt. It's a knee issue. Verbal has been very hush-hush on that. There had a lot of information been given out. He did practice this past week. It was looking good, and all of a sudden they said he was going to be out for the game. And so he's got a couple more weeks to go, and if he doesn't make it, then he'll be out for the rest of the year.
The thing about it is, Durr's been practicing, yes, but the thing about it, he has not been. He's been doing a lot more of the individual drills and not the team drills.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the practice comes in. You see how he does this week. They put him in individual drills this week to see how he was going to recover from being out there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he recovered well. So now the next step is to move him to the team drills and see how he recovers from how he practices and how he recovers from that, and move forward from there. So if he has a good week of practice this week, I think you see him playing, and hopefully, you see somebody else other than Jonathan Joseph lined up on the outside.
Right. Dion says it's not hard to figure out the defense between last year and this year. It's like night and day. We need to get rid of this crap, and go back to what we ran last year. And totally agree with you, Dion. The scheme is busted. Not really sure.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Last year, you had a defensive coordinator who really changed the scheme with every game.
He did. And not only that, he changed it during the game, right?
Yeah. He would always make changes and everything.
Yep.
What you have going on right now is a defensive staff that's running a system. And they're running the same system week in and week out.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why they cannot get off the field on third down, which is the reason why offenses are able to, veteran quarterbacks are able to pick them off so quickly, because they're running a defensive system, the same system week in and week out. They're not changing the system to match the team. Whereas you saw Dean Pease, he's changed his scheme to match the team. Now, the problem you got is Vrabel is inexperienced as a defensive coordinator, and Shane Bowen has no experience as a defensive coordinator. So that's what you're seeing happening with them. Haslam, really, when you look at him, if you go back and look at his record, he's similar to Wade Phillips in the fact that he runs a system. It works the first year, but everybody's used to it the second year, which is what we're doing right now.
So, guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Ada Arnell, G. Witt. Thank you for the comments, the questions. Keep them coming. Ada Gray says, "Call peas or LeBeau." Dion says, let me correct you, Grove. He said last year we had a defensive coordinator, period. That's right. We don't.
No. I'm saying that. I'm saying that. I'm saying right now what you're running is a system that everybody's getting film on, and they're picking it apart.
Yep.
Because they know where your weaknesses are in that system. They know you have corners who are slow, who can't cover deep. They know that. They know you have linebackers who you're trying to put in space who can't cover. They know. I mean, you're running a scheme that's not working, and that's the problem I have with it. Today they dropped Harold Landry back into space. That doesn't work. Harold Landry is not one for dropping in space. It's not his forte. You're not scheming to the strengths of your players. Bottom line, you're just not doing it. Make Jadeveon Clowney a third down specialist, and don't put him on the end. Put him in the middle.
They put him in the middle. That's just like Pittsburgh was doing Bud Dupree today. You saw him line up all across the line,
all over the place,
giving them different looks, different looks to the offensive line. Darius says, "Why don't we blitz more?" I don't know, Darius. That's a good question. I wish they would blitz
when
more.
they did blitz, they wouldn't get in there.
Well, because they was running simple stuff, right?
Well, it don't even matter about it being simple stuff. Look at it. The guys, the guys are just running into the offensive lineman. One thing is about it is there's no scheme to the blitz, no continuity to it. Nobody's creating an opening for the DB or the linebacker to get through.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're running into the problem. On the play where Derrick Henry missed his block, look what happened. They created an opening for the linebacker to come through. He came straight through. Derrick Henry missed the block. So
that's what I mean by simple blitzes.
That's what I mean. I'm talking about.
Simple blitzes.
You're not seeing that in this defensive scheme. The bottom line is, like I said, if Vrabel and Shane Bowen, everybody on the defensive side of the ball, from coaches on down, you guys, they need to look in the mirror and ask themselves, what am I doing wrong? How am I hurting this team? Because we've been complaining about the defense from the first game on, And again, it's not that we don't love our team, but we know they're better than this. We already know that.
Yeah, and so
think about it, with the exception of Adoree being out and Clowney, that defensive players are basically the same. You're only missing Wesley Woodyard,
Logan Ryan,
Terrell Casey, and Logan Ryan.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they were your leaders and they were the ones who kept you straight and everything. But bottom line is, if that's the case, then somebody need to step up and start helping Big Jeff hold people accountable.
Right.
And I don't know if you get on the sideline and smack them upside the head or get them in the locker room and smack them upside the head. But somebody on this defense ain't doing it, whether it's coaches or players. Something has got to be fixed. And I'm like you, we shouldn't be talking about communication issues in the 7th week of the season.
Right. You shouldn't. And I definitely agree with you. Somebody on defense has got to step up and be that leader and make the calls, correct everybody on the field. There's nobody, when there's a lot of questioning going on, there's nobody saying, hey, do this, do this. There's no direction out there at all. And
there's nobody saying, hey, screw this, timeout.
Right.
We're lined up wrong. There's nobody doing that. I don't know if Kevin Byard has to do it, Kenny Vaccaro has to do it, but somebody's got to take the leadership reins on this defense. Jayon Brown can do it. I don't care who, but somebody's got to say, we're playing like crap and everybody needs to step up. And you need this, and I'm talking about, you don't do it in the press, but you do it in that locker room. You do it in that defensive meeting room. You start calling players out who are not doing their job.
Stars in practice.
And if they continue to not do their job, what do you do? What would Bill Belichick do?
They wouldn't be on the team.
They wouldn't be on the team. We'll lose rather than have you ruin what we're trying to do.
Right.
And like I said, whether and you got to look at all of them. I'm sorry. I'm not turning anybody loose. If Kevin Byard says we having communication problems, then why aren't you fixing it, Kevin Byard?
Why ain't he fixing it? He's the veteran in the secondary.
Why ain't you fixing it?
He's the guy, right? He's the guy.
He's the guy. I mean, whoever the green dot is it Jayon Brown or is it
Jayon Brown?
But if you're gonna be the green dot, make sure everybody gets lined up, make the plays. Now, granted, like I said, for the last quarter and a half of the game, Jayon Brown was on it. He was making plays, but the problem is there were 2.5 other quarters where he wasn't on it.
Everybody.
You know what I mean?
That's right, everybody. and that's
what I'm saying, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I love my team dearly. That's when I'm so passionate about it. And this is really their fault because they have raised the expectation level so high that we are expecting them to play better. I'm not even dogging them out about the record. 5-1 is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
In today's NFL.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to recognize the fact that you're not playing good football right now.
And I could take a L. But the way that game was lost when they should have won the game today, I thought to be down 27-7 to a defense that good and come back and come within inches of tying the game up and going to overtime. I mean, that says a lot about this football team. You got to give hats off to them.
Absolutely. That's what I said from the beginning. Give them the credit. They fought back. They came back. They put themselves in a position to either win or tie.
Right.
The play that Jayon Brown made in the end zone on that pass.
Oh, that's great. That was great.
And Amani Hooker making the interception.
That was great.
Fantastic. That's what you have to have.
That's right.
But the problem is you had them in 3rd and long on like 3 other occasions on that drive, and you couldn't stop them.
Right.
And that's the problem. You can't stop anybody on 3rd down. This I would say, I have to check the records, but I would say this 3rd down defense that we're running right now is pretty historic. I've been like I always say, I've been watching NFL football since Super Bowl 5, and I can't remember a 3rd down defense being this bad.
Almost 60% is what they showed on TV. I think it was 58.some%.
57.8 or 58%.
Yeah, the highest on the bad end in the NFL of conversions.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they're approaching historic numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, that what you saw today, it cost you.
Cost you, just like we've been saying. It's been saying that for the last few weeks. Cost the game today. Eddie Gray, man, Woodyard. Somebody says he did retire. I'm not sure if he officially retired, but he's not playing right now. So
nobody signed him.
Nobody signed him. Everybody, I agree with you, Dion. Everybody with a C on that shoulder, on their jersey, they need to step up and start getting in people's faces and take control.
Well, I thought they don't have C's on their jersey, so
they took them off this year. You're right. That's right.
But the players know who the captains are.
Right. Well, those are the guys that need to step
know who
up.
They are.
Right. So, guys, thank you again for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt, thank you for the comments, the questions, man. Tighten up. Hey, 5-1. Again, you
Yeah,
got to take your hat off to the
next week.
football team, man. Some good stuff. Now, let's take the second half. Well, I'm not going to even say the second half. Let's take the last half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter defense and build on it for next week because we got the Bengals. And you got to go to Cincinnati. You got probably the rookie of the year in Joe Burrow. He threw for over 400 yards today.
Yeah.
And he's playing some good football. The Bengals, they're just missing some plays here and there being made. And these guys are better than the 1-5 football team, 1-5-1.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's and you got to remember, let's be real about it. With our pass defense,
right.
Joe Burrows might have a career day, man.
Right, and you got a Tyler Boyd, you got AJ Green, T. Higgins, those guys, man, looking at chops. Giovanni Bernard running the ball. Joe Mixon didn't play today; he was out with a foot injury, but he might be back next week. And so, gonna be a tough game. It's always tough to play up in Cincinnati. It's always tough to play there, man. I don't care what kind of season is going on. And like I said, Joe Burrow, he's got confidence. He's slinging the ball all over the field. And you can't leave a team like that in a football game. As you see today, it came down to the wire against Cleveland. And they put up 34 points in that game, so they can score, and they can stick with you. But we got to go in there. We got to run the ball. We got to do something with that secondary. Hopefully, Adore comes back this week, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And I agree with you, Darius. They lead the league in turnovers plus 10. How do you have a defense that gives up 60% third down conversions and lead the league in turnovers? But it finally happened today. It finally caught us. And
well, let's be honest about it. It's the same. The turnovers. I mean, like even Mike Tomlin said, it's rare that you have 3 turnovers in a game
and win.
Right. That really just doesn't happen. And
that's right.
Again, I mean, we got to move on.
Got to move on.
We got to move on. And to quote Bill Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati.
On Cincinnati. And so just looking at the AFC South real quick, Colts on the bye this week. They got Detroit next week. Just a game behind us now. Going into next week, the Texans lost to the Packers 35-20, followed 1-6. They got the Jags next week, and they lost to the Chargers 36-29. So hopefully, like I said, let's build on it, man, for next week, that second half.
So it's coming down like we said it would.
That's right.
Us and the Colts.
And you got that 3-game stretch where you play 2 games out of 3 on the road and in the Colts, and you got the Baltimore Ravens in between that.
Who's licking their chops too.
Licking their chops at that defense. And so hopefully, like I said, by the time we go to Cincinnati next Sunday, maybe they got some stuff worked out and they can build off that second half performance by that defense where they held the Steelers to 3 points and less than 100 yards. And so
they got to definitely play more aggressive coming out.
Got to play more aggressive.
Definitely tentative coming out.
You got to go press. You got to press early, man. Why not?
Pittsburgh was definitely more aggressive.
Right.
And to me, like you said, you can't come out fearful of your weaknesses.
No, you got to. You got to do
you got to say we're going to play to win. You can't be playing fearful of your weaknesses. And like I said, if Jonathan Joseph can't press coverage, then get somebody in there who can.
Right.
Whether it's
play
Ty
the young
Smith,
guys, man. Play the young guys.
Maybe it's Ty Smith. Maybe you put a Monty Hooker on there, and it's got to be somebody.
You got somebody better than that.
Yeah, because like I said, Jonathan Joseph ain't cutting the mustard, man. It's really glaring.
It's glaring. But Deion, I agree with you, man. He said he don't care about the other teams in the AFC South. All he cares about is what we do because there's no reason why we should win the South. I agree with you, man. The division is ours to take.
I'm not arguing with you.
We'll beat ourselves. We'll beat ourselves if we don't.
And which is what's happening.
Yeah. So.
Which is what's happening. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, on to Cincinnati, man. We got them next Sunday. Join us again for another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnett, my man G Witt over there across the way.
Hopefully we'll be in a better mood.
Pray for G Witt, man. Maybe he'll be better next week.
I'm just hoping to see a better defensive effort than what we've seen these past few games.
Deion says it's best, man. Common sense football. I definitely agree with you. Common sense.
That's what we've been saying for 2 years, ain't it?
Blocking and tackling, man. Football's not hard. Tackling. It's not hard, man. Do your job.
Blocking and tackling.
Do your job.
Do your job. Tackle.
That's right.
Make the tackles.
Again, guys, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Halftime adjustment, Eddie on there, G Wit. Thank you for the questions, the love, the support of the show. Join us next week, 7 p.m. right here. We'll be looking at the Bengals versus the Titans. First road game in a few weeks, and so we'll see how it goes.
Hopefully we get a win out of it. I mean, you know, what did we go this month? 3-1?
3-1.
Or 2-1? No, 2-1.
2-1. Yep.
Yeah, 2-1. Well, we went 3-0 in September.
Brian Grover said he gonna be praying for you, man. It's gonna be all right.
No. And again, the problem you got is the fact that they set the standard.
Right.
And I'm expecting it. And right now we're not seeing the standard. And like you said, week 7 and you're still talking about communication problems.
Yep.
That means you got coaching and player problems. Somebody ain't listening.
You guys join us next week. Hopefully we can communicate better. Halftime adjustment, 7 p.m. next Sunday night. Join us. Appreciate the love. Peace.